Are operas with stereotype representations of non-Western cultures worth performing in the 21st century, or should they be removed from the repertoire? Well, I think that this is a complex issue that requires considering various ethical, cultural, and artistic aspects. Performing operas with stereotypes of non-Western cultures in the 21st century raises questions about artistic responsibility and its purpose. I believe eliminating them is not the solution in the first instance. There are not many people outside the academic context who know them, in addition to the fact that compositionally they are works of great value and that they represent an era. For me, the fact of deleting the work would would be like not wanting to see the terrible mistakes we have made towards other human beings. And as Cicerone said, who forgets his history is condemned to repeat it. So do not erase it. Confront it in another way, I think is the solution. So we could represent it for learning purposes as a reminder of the past and thus promote a more inclusive and respectful between cultures. As a stage director or musical director, I would add certain reflections to the performance without altering the work. But when we get involved with a culture, the ideal would be to approach it from a place of respect, being very analytical in the worldview and its relationship with the earth and the spiritual and the corporeal. So, for example, for the Incas, Mayas, and Aztecas, among many other cultures, corn was considered a sacred and a divine plant associated with fertility, life, and renewal. It was believed that the corn plant had been gifted by the gods to humanity and was the basis of human existence. So for the Incas, their deity associated with corn was known as Mamaquila or Mamaquilla, as well as for the Mayans was Yumcax, and for the Aztecs, Seonteotl. So if we are going to represent them, we need to approach it from their culture, giving it the place it has because for them it was something divine and really, really important. So it is important to note that these interpretations can vary depending on the production and direction, and that Mozart's original intention is in creating the opera did not necessarily include racist or offensive connotations. However, it is essential that contemporary representations address these issues with sensitivity and consideration for current concerns about racial and cultural representations in art. So, which of the Rameau and Mozart characters did you find more offensive? So regarding about the Mozart's magic flute, I consider that the most offensive characters are Monostatos and the Queen of the Night. Monostatos, a servant of the Queen of the Night, who is often depicted with stereotypical racial traits, such as dark complexion and exaggerated facial features. So, furthermore, the Queen of the Night could be seen as a stereotype of the evil and manipulative woman. Although, in my humble opinion, as I said before, I do not believe that Mozart originally conceived these characters in that way. However, judged with contemporary eyes, I understand that it could reinforce those stereotypes. And regarding Rameau, Uh, the most poorly represented characters for me are Osman and Adario. Osman is portrayed as the leader of the Turks and is stereotypically depicted as an Eastern tyrant with exaggerated features and a big aggressive attitude. His character reflects European stereotypes about the Middle East in the 18th century, including the idea of Turks as barbarians. And Adario's interpretation does not respect the meaning of command and respect that his community had towards him. His representations reflects Eurocentric and exotic stereotypes about indigenous people, presenting them in a very simplistic way from my very particular point of view, a favorite word as a Mexican living in Europe. I have heard a lot referring to everything that has to do with indigenous culture as savage or wild. I have been told this too much in my short stay in this beautiful country. And it is true, although from my perspective, Europeans and their descendants in this sense seem to be fighting with the body. What they call wild is often just an expression, and each culture has different ways of doing it. Uh, I am very sorry that in many works of this time, it is not understood that we must soak up the deep and spiritual meaning as well as the sense of community and connection with the universe that these cultures propose. However, we must also be fair minded and tolerant as a society and as individuals, accepting that for the people who live in the 18th century, that was their normality, and I don't even think that they judge in large masses whether they were right or wrong. No? They took actions based on their understanding and knowledge of the world in his time. And all works emerging from any specific period will reflect characteristics of his lifestyle. I urge us to increase our insight and instead of erasing the past, let us learn from it and build from there. It is a significant challenge and a great opportunity that we artists of the 21st century face. So, Osman's portrayal has been criticized for perpetuating negative stereotypes about Middle Eastern people and reinforcing Eurocentric narratives of cultural superiority. Some modern productions of Les Inns Galants have addressed these concerns by reevaluating and reinterpreting the character to avoid the stereotypes and promote a more respectful and equitative representation of non-European cultures. And what points from the readings spoke to you most about the state of racial or any ethnic representation in opera? Well, despite facing numerous obstacles due to his racial background, Boulogne demonstrated exceptional talent and determination. His musical work is a testament to his artistic genius and his ability to overcome the barriers imposed by the society of his time. Especially significant is the possible impact it had on later composers, such as Mozart, who may have been inspired by it for his Symphony Concertante in E flat. His story is an inspiring testimony to the human ability to overcome adversity and achieve success despite unfavorable circumstances. Boulogne not only challenged the stereotypes and prejudice of his time, but also left a lasting legacy that continues to inspire subsequent generations. His resilience and strong determination are a powerful reminder. He was never a victim of anything, and he continued doing and seeking to what he had to do, even though he had seemingly everything against him. In the end, his work triumphed, of course, not as it could have been with the support and encouragement. I like the nobility he gave to his contemporaries, but he managed to stand out despite everything and maintain that situation, swimming against the current all the time and achieving what he achieved. Not anyone can do it regardless of their skin color.